walking off the field?
I think the biggest thing is, maybe in the moment you're not as sure as what you pinpoint in that situation. We go back and look at it. I think for us, third down, I believe it was third down and 6 or less, and fourth downs, we were something like 2 of 11 in those situations. So again, at times I thought we moved the ball extremely well. It's really frustrating in those situations. The game's on the line, whether it's third downs, with the 2 turnovers I think we had on third down, and not converting on those fourth downs. Again, going on the road, playing a good opponent, it's what it's going to come down to. So.
A lot of so many guys in and out of receivers, different packages, formation, have to balance. Trying something different to see if it works, and keeping your main guys out there. I guess I know a couple of those fourth downs.
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is for us. Again, is it realistic for those 2 guys to play all 70 plays? Probably not. Just from the standpoint of needing a break, taking a break. It's always been our philosophy, to encourage guys as they're practicing well, to give other guys an opportunity. And again, with the thought process being that they take some of that load off, and those 2 guys are in there, in plays we need them to be in there. Obviously, I know at the end of the game there, it was a personnel group we had to have AB on an outbreak and hardly Gilmore out there in that situation. We've got to sub those guys out there. But during the week, those 2 guys had repped that play over and over again, and that was the call, and that's how it ended up.
Speaking of kind of working guys and you trying to work Chip back into the rotation, how do you feel about that room and in getting a feel on who to play, when, and where at the running back spot?
I think it's it's never a thing of perfect. We're in a situation where different guys have been healthy at different at points. Certain guys are better than other guys at certain things, and we're still in the situation too now of, you look at game plans and you try to simplify them as much as you can, but you got young guys out there who, if they're out there for every single play, their chances of being successful could decrease, and so it's been a mixture. We want to, get a guy like Jamarian Wilcox knowing exactly what plays he would be in there for the most part. At times, a little bit of it has to do with what gets called and what doesn't, but it's been a work in progress for sure.
What do you hope Cutter got out of that?
Yeah, I feel bad. I really do. I mean, anytime you get that first getting your feet wet for the first time, and to go out there and I put him in that situation and to throw that interception, I just I went to him and just kind of apologized because again, I don't think necessarily he wasn't warmed up and all those things, but for us, we're in a situation where we can play him in 4 games in a bowl game, and in this conference you never really expect scores to get out of hand, and we felt at the end it did, and we wanted to get his feet wet. We wanted to get him a couple drives to feel what it was like playing on the road in that kind of environment, and I think we accomplished that. And just unfortunate how the first play went.
Not to bring up a bad memory, but I think your senior day started at Boise State. You threw a pick 6 in the first play. Just as a quarterback, what are the nerves like when you're thrown into those situations for the first time?
Yeah, I think it's tough, and in my situation, I obviously knew I was going to be out there, so I think that's a little different. I just to him, told him this all week. He's the best kid on the planet, and so it's just, we thought it was the right thing to do to get him in and to get him some action as much as we can in those situations. Was he ready? Was he warmed up? No, and that's just it. It happened like that. It was a gut reaction. I am happy we got him those reps. I think anytime you can get in there and learn from that, it's a good thing. But obviously not the exact start that he made me want.
Coach, what do you know about Auburn, and what have you seen from their defense so far?
Really talented. I mean, it goes back to, I think you guys have probably put on the film. I know they're sitting at the record they're sitting at, and maybe we're in a similar situation as them, but it's they got players all over the place, and I think as you guys watch them as the week goes, you'll know that. This is a team that I think is ranked 133rd in turnover margin right now, and the reality is if they weren't, from what I'm seeing, with the talent they have on both sides of the ball and special teams, there's no reason why they can't be at the top third of this conference. So again, it's tricky to figure out. I think this front seven is extremely talented. It's going to be a good matchup for us. I know I say that, week in and week out, but I really do believe that. And again, I just think it comes down to for them taking care of the football and the challenges they pose.
Malachi Wood logged some significant snaps. What did you see from him in his first kind of heavier workload?
Yeah, super impressed. And I think that's a guy we've wanted to see get going, and due to Mincy's situation, it gave us an opportunity to see him go out there. You never quite know how a freshman's going to react in that environment again, but we thought he played extremely well. He graded out as well as anybody else, and there was just a good size presence to him, if you will, that we thought provided a spark for us at the offensive line position.
How important is it to have some of those high school recruits on the offensive line develop and move forward when it can be challenging to try to find replacement parts from the portal?
I think it's huge, not just necessarily at the offensive line position, but anytime you take a guy from a portal, as you know, there's challenges that come with it, just from the standpoint of them immersing themselves into your culture and them knowing exactly what the place they're at is like. And so I think it's always going to still be about high school recruitment and development and retaining guys, and how can we keep those same guys on the roster for a large amount of time. I still think about some of the transfer portal guys we have, and although they're veteran, older guys, it still takes you 6 months, 8 months, a year to get a good feel for a place, just like anybody. And so I think it's always going to be about that, the development piece, certainly at a place like Kentucky, and we got to strive to do a good job of bringing the right people into the program.
Bush, knowing it's not as simple as just snapping your fingers and it being done, like how fixable are the issues that you've identified 5 games left in the regular season?
The message is we just got to keep pushing, and I think figuring this thing out. And again, all we know is kind of to shrink the circle, if you will, go back to work. Sometimes you feel like you have the exact pulse on it, and it doesn't work out exactly how you think it does. But again, we got to put our guys in the best position to be successful. And the focus has got to be staying 1-0 and just winning one game at a time. I certainly understand, what everybody wants it to look like, and play with tempo and throw it and all those things. And at times we want it to look like that. We really do. But we got to do what's best for us with the situation we're presented with to go put ourselves in a position to go win a football game. So
you guys are running the ball real consistently between the 20s and get down in the red zone inside the 5. Have you been able to put your finger on why maybe that push hasn't been there, close to the goal line like it has been?
Yeah, I didn't feel great about, the 3rd and 4th down sequence and the one there. I mean, again, hindsight looking back at it, whether we should have, thrown it on 3rd down or with as big as they were inside, I didn't feel great about that on my end. I do think you get into a situation, again, it wasn't a 4th and goal, it was a 4th and 1 that I think we could go execute and get a yard. I did. But, it's a certain mentality there in that situation. I think the frustration has been 2 straight weeks being right there within the 2-yard line to go score. I think if we get those done in both of those situations, the game could be drastically different, but it is what it is.
I'm sure you've gone through tough times before, times where things weren't going the way you wanted them to go. How do you keep a level head during times like that and not let it affect you too much?
I think the biggest thing, again, is, and sometimes we're at fault for this, is just shutting our door and just being in the office 24/7. But again, you just gotta stay process driven. I really believe that. And sometimes after wins, you think you have it all figured out, and after losses, you think you're doing everything wrong. And so you just got to stay the course. And I think it's important for the players to understand that. That's what we're preaching to them every week, trying to take that next step. Move certain guys around. How can we get better in certain spots? Put these guys in a better position, and that's always the focus.
Business as usual, every week's a new opportunity, so it's just time to get back to work, buckle everything back up, get back to work.
What do you see as kind of the issue with some of those goal line, or you guys get within the red zone and have a trouble, getting it in? What do you see as kind of the issues when those
we just have to execute better at the end of the day. It comes down to us. A good play call gets called. We just have to execute. We have to be better.
Dane, what have you seen from Cutter in practice and how he responded to getting out there?
Oh yeah, Cutter's gonna come out here. Cutter's gonna come out here and do his best every day. You know, he's young, but he's still got a lot to learn, and he'll be right. He's right where he needs to be.
Coach Stoops always says that, you know, you're always a Saturday away from getting humbled. Well, what's it like to have an opportunity to beat a team that's never lost here? Auburn's never lost at that stadium.
Yeah, you know, Auburn's a good football team, so we just got to come out here. We have to prepare like I said. We just it's this week's a new opportunity, so we just got to get back to work and, you know, prepare like we know how.
Obviously, you had a couple of weeks where you were on fire, 100-yard games and things like that. Maybe it's been a little bit slower since then. What's maybe been the biggest difference for you these last couple of weeks?
It just comes down to me going out there and just having to perform when the ball's not in my hand. If the ball's not in my hand, I gotta let my teammates eat. And you know, if it's not my game, I know it's gonna be somebody else's game. So I just gotta you know, just play when the ball's not in my hand.
Reps that sell on this guy.
He hasn't, you know, got as many here recently. I can tell you this: he's ready. You know, I feel good about him. I'm excited about his progress. You know, he just got here in January, so he's a little bit as far as he's not as far along, I should say, as far as being in a program as Malachi is. But I am really encouraged by Abba, a student of the game. He works hard, lifts weights 4 times a week. I mean, like, he's in there getting extra. He does the things he needs to do to be a good player. And Dylan Ray has come on and done some good things, you know, or he could be getting some reps in there. But I hope to, here in the near future, be able to start getting him some reps too. But I want to keep it within the 4-game stretch, so that way I can, you know, obviously still have an extra year with him.
How big is it just to bring along those guys from the high school ranks when you're at a position that it takes a while for the cake to bake?
I said this earlier, and at the end of the day, I feel like, in my experience, it takes about 2 years to develop a high school offensive lineman to get them ready to play at this level in this league. I've been other places in other leagues where maybe a guy after a redshirt year, they can get themselves ready to play and compete at that level. But when you look at the level of talent on the defensive line across the board in the league, you're facing most guys in this league are going to be probably drafted in the first 4 rounds that you're going to play against. Let's just call it the way it is, right? So you've got to get a guy within 2 years, hopefully ready to compete with a guy that could be a senior or a junior that's being projected as a first, second, third rounder. It's very common on every football team.
Well, and
a couple more, and I got to get him in.
Probably got to ask about Malachi, but that's ahead of that schedule. You know,
he is, and that's a compliment to Coach Stoops. That's a compliment to our strength staff. That's a compliment to our nutritionists. That's a compliment to him working at it. You know, you just don't flip a switch and those things happen. There's a commitment level. On your point, sleep is a very underrated issue that people don't talk about. If you don't get the proper amount of sleep, that's when you grow at night, you know. And at the end of the day, if you're not getting proper amount of sleep, you're not going to make the gains that you need to make when you're lifting 3 or 4 times a week, right? And eating 300 grams of protein a day, right? You're not going to make those gains you need or as fast as you will if you're not doing those things.
So how did it feel just to get out there for the first time and really kind of get some plays under your belt?
It felt awesome. It was that was a dream come true, being a hometown kid. I mean, that's what I've always wanted, so it felt great being out there.
It was also on the road. What sort of challenges does playing in a place like that present for a guy who's getting out there the first time?
Obviously, like the noise. I mean, there's 90,000 people yelling at you, so that was a big part of it. And also just like the speed of the game, getting adjusted to that. I mean, it was a little fast and fresh getting out there, but once I kind of got settled in, got a groove in, I felt good. But really, just the crowd noise was the hardest part for me personally.
What's probably the biggest thing you've learned? You sit out for a year, you put on some weight. What do you think the biggest steps you took in your game over the last year or so have been?
I would say just like an overall football knowledge, like learning from the older guys like Eli, Marcus, all them, just really watching what they do up in the film room, learning from them, kind of picking techniques and stuff they do, and just learning wherever I can. And obviously like putting on the weight helped too, putting on the weight, I feel like I have a little more power.
So how much weight did you put on?
When I first got here, I was 280 around there, and now I'm sitting at like 315, so just about 30-some pounds. So was
that tough?
Yeah, it was tough because I mean I had lost a bunch of weight in high school, so putting it back on was pretty hard just because it's hard to gain good weight. And that's what I really wanted to do.
Did you have to like wake up in the middle of the night and eat food or anything crazy that?
No, I wouldn't anything crazy like that. It's just getting with our nutritionists and all that, and our our meal people and getting the protein, getting a kind of a schedule down, when to eat, what to eat, eating good, so I don't put on any bad weight.
The offense, it feels like you can really move the ball in between the 20s, and then gets tough down in the red zone. You feel like it's close to clicking and putting up more points on the scoreboard?
Yeah, I mean, it's always just one play away, so and just get a couple little things ironed out technique-wise, and I think we'll be punching it in there.
Coach was saying when you go through a tough time like this, he wants to stay process-driven. Do you guys believe that as players?
Yeah, we really bought into the process, because, I mean, you can't just go out there on Saturdays and expect it to be going 100%. You got to work it through the week, and so I think getting in here, watching extra film with the guys, obviously doing what we have to do at practice, I think it's good. So I think we're all bought into the process.
He did, you know what I mean? So just getting advice from a person like him really means a lot, and I always listen to people like that.
Coach Hamdan mentioned that he kind of just threw you in there. Were you kind of stretched, ready to go? How were you feeling before you head out on the field?
Oh yeah, I always try to have the mindset to just stay ready to go. You know, anything can happen at any time. You're always one play away. So I was trying to stay ready on the sideline, but you know, it's kind of still. I didn't know I was going in, so when they called my name, you know, I mean, I was ready to go, but you never know. You know, that was my first time going out there, so you know, I don't want to say I wasn't expecting it, but you know, I was expecting it at the same time.
In a weird way, throwing a pick on that first one, does that kind of take the pressure off if you go in another time? Like,
in a weird way, it does for sure. That'll definitely be a throw. I always wish I got back, but you know, it's taught me a lot. I'm going to learn those reps I got down there are going to be invaluable. There's few places that match the energy and the environment of the swamp, so those reps in the future are going to be invaluable to me, and have already taught me a lot for sure.